Hello, this is Keith Wall. This is day number 24, and we are less than a week before April is going to be over. So we're going to see how things turn out in regards to our nation and the different guidelines that have been set, and of course the states and all of that. So we hope you're continuing to be well and blessed, and we hope that for you. Well, today we're going to be in the book of Proverbs. So many powerful things in the book of Proverbs. Today we're going to look at a little pithy statement here that we can live by, and I believe this will be an encouragement to us all. Proverbs chapter 15, verse number 23 says this: "A man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good is it?" Now, when I look at that verse, if you're looking at it, if you notice at the end of that verse, there's an exclamation mark. You don't see a lot of exclamation marks in the Bible compared to all the other statements of the Bible. All of them, I guess, in our heart and mind, if you're a Christian, probably ought to have in our own heart and mind would have an exclamation point. But the fact that it does have it is giving a very powerful statement here, and maybe the way it should be received, at least. I know all truth should be received as truth, but when I look at this verse here with the exclamation mark behind it, so let me read it once again, maybe with the exclamation mark as it's noted here. It says, "A man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good is it?" Now, that's a powerful statement. Now, let's just break that down just a little bit here. It's interesting here that in my mind, I'm thinking that if a person speaks properly, that another person can receive joy by that, and that's certainly the truth. You know, we can encourage people and they receive joy, but it's saying here, "A man hath joy by the answer of his mouth." In other words, the way I feel and the way you feel when we speak something that's proper and right, that's wise, that's godly, and all of that, then you know what? Then it gives us joy. Have you ever said something and after you said it, you said, "Man, I wish I hadn't have said that," and you feel bad about it? You may have said it about somebody or to somebody, whatever it might be. But the Bible is saying one of the ways to have joy is to speak properly, is to speak and say things, and that's going to give you and I joy. Now, there's a lot of things I can say that can give you joy, to encourage and so on. But you know what? Sometimes as David had to encourage himself, the things that we say, the answers that we give, the Bible says, you know what? You can have joy by that. And then to finish the thought out here, to kind of go along with that, "And a word spoken in due season, how good is it?" When something is said at the right time, when someone's needing the right encouragement, when someone's needing the right answer, when someone's wanting to hear somebody just say it, and you go, "Man, how good is that?" I mean, how many times have you sat in church and heard your preacher preach something, or you're in Sunday school, or listening to a sermon, reading a sermon, whatever it might be, and you go, "Man, how good is that?" How many times have you and I been reading the Bible and go, "Wow, that is just really outstanding," and you may have read it before or heard it before, and for some reason it just kind of strikes you differently at the time. It might be because of your own circumstances. That's often the case. When you've been down for a period of time, and man, somebody says the right thing, man, how good is that? Now, look, during this time, let's be honest, you watch the news. And if you watch the news, as we call it, the news, we have to have a little bit of faith in the people who supposedly are giving us facts and information. We have to, I guess, take it with a grain of salt, but we have to receive it and say, well, I guess that's the proper information. And then, after something is said, all the criticism or all the dissecting of what is said, good and bad. Now that can weary you. This 24 news outlet we have now, it used to be when I was a kid growing up, not that I cared a whole lot about the news, but, you would, if you got up in the morning, now we didn't do this. When I got up in the morning, it was last minute. I didn't listen to any news. I wasn't paying attention to anything. I was just trying to get ready to catch the school bus so I didn't miss it. And that was, I had it down to a science. I knew when to get up, get my clothes together. Sometimes I'd lay them out, and then I could sleep to the last minute, and I knew exactly what I was doing. But, the news used to be you could catch a little bit of news in the morning. But I'll be honest with you, most people got their news at 6 o'clock. And I can remember getting the news at 6 o'clock, and I couldn't wait to hear the weather forecast because I like to see it snow. And in wintertime, my weatherman was Frank Deal there in High Point, WGHP, Channel 8, Frank Deal. And I couldn't wait to get to the news and sometimes the sports. But, it was a 30-minute broadcast, and it covered news, it covered the weather, it covered sports. And then afterwards, if you wanted to get the national outlook, then from 6:30 to 7, you had a national broadcast. And then you had to wait until 11 o'clock and basically get about the same thing that was said at 6 o'clock with a few changes. Obviously, the weather's a little bit different. And if there was some kind of sports going on between 6 and 11, then you got that. So what I'm saying is there wasn't a whole lot on where people were discussing what the people in the news said or discussing anything. And to be honest with you, it was probably a little bit more refreshing. Now, man, you can get it all the time, and you got to be careful. And the point I'm trying to make here is this: words that are spoken in due season, how good is it? And of course, the converse of that is true. How many times have you just felt down and dragged down because of something you heard somebody say? So let's do what Proverbs is trying to teach us. God's trying to tell us, look, if you want to have joy, then answer properly. Give people things. And it not only helps the person you're giving it to, but guess what? It gives you joy. And then, of course, as the Bible says here, how good is it, exclamation mark, when a word is spoken in due season. It was the right time. Boy, did we need it right then. And there have been people down through history where they've been noted for saying the right thing at the right time, sometimes grave circumstances. And I guess the one that comes to mind as I close this out, the Civil War in our country was terrible. And Abraham Lincoln gave what we call the Gettysburg Address after that battle. And that area was kind of set aside. We'll use the word hallowed as one of the battles of all battles. And he spoke a very short speech. But the Gettysburg Address goes down as one of the most important speeches of all history. And what he said was so fitting, and despite the circumstances. So you know what, as we go through life and we meet people and see people, certainly people sometimes we meet on a very daily basis, may not think about it a lot, but you know what, when we speak to them, obviously we want to try to help them. But you're helping yourself when you answer properly. You can have joy because of that yourself. And then let's ask God to help us to speak the right thing at the right season. And how good is that, the Bible says. So until tomorrow, we hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you continue to be blessed and healthy. So God bless you.